Hey everybody, Megro 31 back here for FSi DFS. Friday, got a pretty decent slate here, 13 games. So yesterday we had a split slate, and the early slate, I was cruising, taking down a GPP. I had Gilbert, I had a nice little Oakland stack with some White Sox and with Seattle, and I had almost all the home runs. I was going well. Oakland was up 5-4 in the 10th inning. I thought just 3 outs and I got this. And then bottom of the 10th, Mensis from Washington hits a 3-run homer, and I just fall in standing. So still made a couple hundred. So it wasn't total loss. And the evening went well also because we've been talking recently, and that's why I really appreciate your comments. Richie B, earlier in the week, said, we keep on talking about like high priced pitchers, and they just keep on letting us down for like 5 straight slates. So then we said, okay, well, let's look at who's in the middle of range that we can play. So yesterday, faded Woodruff. I played Strider because I thought he had a decent matchup, and I actually stacked Arizona in my Strider line there, and they actually won 5-0, and Woodruff struggled, and it was actually came out pretty decent. So I think that's going to be kind of the theme today. We have a couple guys to pay up for, but I think I like some of these mid-range guys. So let's just go through all the games and talk about them quickly. So because again, on a 13 game slate, you have a lot of options. So we'll talk about places where we can, it's nice because there's not really any chalky builds. There's a couple offenses in really good spots today, and a couple pitchers too. But I think there's a lot of variety on the slate that you shouldn't see many ties and should be wide open tonight. So first game we have is Oakland and Baltimore. JP Spears against Dean Kramer. Not sure Spears. Kramer could be interesting. He's a low walk guy. Oakland has been hitting well decently recently. So early in the morning still. Looking at some of these guys like Murphy and Brown and Langer, their catcher there, Shea, bats like fifth or sixth. He's been really decent, got some power. Garcia, I think, had like 30 home runs in the minors last year. He might be hitting his first base minimum priced on DK. I know you really don't want to sacrifice your first base spot, but we're potentially going to be talking about stacking Boston tonight. And I know like usually first base is kind of weak in their lineup. I'd rather take like some other players there. Dahlbeck is definitely a decent guy and can put up some runs, and has I think has the splits advantage there. I think they're up against a lefty. So but if you are playing them, this might kind of work out nice as a contrarian stack to get the pitching and you want. So I think that's where we're at with Oakland, is that they make some really nice fill-ins, or maybe like a mini stack. I wouldn't full stack them. I mean, you could, if you want to do that, pay up for pitching, and then you probably could get 3 decent one-offs there. Kramer, and the weather's going to be decent for hitting here in Baltimore. Baltimore on the other side, I don't mind them either. Like McKenna's decent leading off here against the lefty at only 2K. So I mean that's like almost a free square there if you need a really cheap outfielder. And then Rushman, Santander, Urias, Aguilar should be in the lineup here too. So there's a decent core of righties and switch hitters right there. So don't mind Baltimore as a stack either. Royals and Tigers again. I think it's the same situation as the A's and Baltimore. You've got 2 marginal pitchers here. You have Daniel Lynch, who's a reverse splits guy. So Detroit doesn't really have much right-handed power, but maybe there's some one-offs there. And then Drew Hutchinson, who's like 5'5", but I'm just really not interested in there. So as for Kansas City, it's just pretty much the top of this lineup, and everybody else is just kind of almost like minor league guys that have just kind of got promoted here. And it is September 2nd. So, watch, you're going to see a lot of people start to get called up. And going back to Baltimore, like Gunnar Henderson, I know is a decent prospect also. And I think he hit his first home run yesterday or the day before. It was recently. I mean, he's a lefty matchup, but we're just going to keep on. McKinley and I are just keep on combing through these lineups, and I mean, you should find some nice value guys that are getting a chance up here, and they're going to be facing pitchers against, if these teams are out of the playoffs. That are marginal also. So it's a good opportunity to some young talent to face some questionable major league pitchers and potentially do well. So Kansas City, like I said, like the top three, like maybe if you want a mini stack there, they could put up some runs. If you want to throw in some other of the lefties there, like maybe Massey or Prado, then I'm fine with that. Detroit on the other side, like I don't really love it against Lynch, but these guys are so cheap too if you need them to fill in. I prefer Oakland or some of the Baltimore guys that I talked about, but these are definitely ways to be a little bit different. Seattle and the Guardians, you have Castillo and Plesac. Castillo's been solid recently, and Cleveland's just kind of on the decline. Besides Jose Ramirez and occasionally like Naylor, I mean, Gonzalez is a decent young guy here, but like I'd rather have him against lefties because he's a righty. So, and just the bottom of this lineup is just like Richie Palacios, Luke Maile, Will Benson. I mean, there's just not names that really inspire awe. So I think Castillo's definitely in play here at 9K. Anywhere from maybe 14 to 17 DK points, probably get out of him. Plesac on the other side. So it's just an average pitcher also. He gave up 3 home runs in his last outing, if I recall. I think they were pretty early in the game. We settled down after that, but Seattle's just been hitting really well. And like I said, this is a scary team going forward. They could really, maybe a couple more offseason moves. These guys are going to come together and they could. I'm not going to say they're going to be like the next Houston or Toronto, but I mean, they could have a formidable core of players and get some pitching in there and be a decent team to contend. Because if you look at the rest of the West out there too, like who do you really have? Like the A's are struggling, rebuilding, and the Angels. I know they still have Trout and Ohtani, but Ohtani might leave after soon. When his contract's up. So besides like, there's really not a ton of competition out there besides Houston. So it's definitely going to be fun to watch these guys over the next couple of years. So anyways, I do like them today. I think they're down in my GPP stacks just because wind's going to be blown in a little bit in Cleveland. So, but still, I think that they have a 4 total. They're definitely in play here. And then the Guardians on their side, not interested at all. I mean, they might be a leverage stack if Castillo gets some ownership. Texas and Boston. The game was 9-8 yesterday. Texas is putting up some runs. Boston's starting to put up some runs. It's got a 10 total here, so definitely not playing Dale Keuchel. Nick Pivetta has been solid recently. However, Texas has been also. So something's got to give. I'm okay with Pivetta potentially in some GPPs. I'm not touching him in cash, but I'm also okay with some Texas bats. So I think that's where we're at. Boston's favorite stack on the slate here. They're 5.77 total. Dallas Keuchel is horrible. They have a lot of good right-handed hitters. So Pham, Bogarts, probably would skip Verdugo. They might see like Kiki Hernandez or somebody move up to the second spot here, or one of their younger guys. Like Donovan or somebody get in. I forget if he's a lefty or righty, but just check it. You might not see Verdugo as he might move down in the lineup or get the day off. But Xander, Devers is fine against lefties. He hits both sides well. He's starting to come back around. He had a little bit of slump there, but he's getting better. JD, I mean, I'd probably leave him out of the stack. I'd rather play Story. I think he's probably one of the top plays here. I'll come back from injury. He's looking good. And I said like Dahlback, Pulicki's like a 2K catcher. He's got the split. So, I mean, you can do a wraparound. There's so many ways you can stack Boston. It's really good. And Texas, I mean, it's really hard to stack the whole team here. Pavetta's been reverse splits a little bit, but, but he's been better recently. So I think Texas is in play definitely for a GPP stack. And I like the total. So on both sides here. Nationals and the Mets, Josiah Gray and Peterson. Josiah Gray hasn't been bad recently, but the Mets you always say is a bad matchup. So I'm not, if you want to play him as a cheaper pitcher, I mean, he's still almost 8K. I mean, there's much cheaper guys I'd rather play. So I don't have him in the total fade, but he might be more like the no interest category for me. Peterson, I think, is like probably the best point per dollar on the slate. He's a huge favorite here. He's been pitching well recently. Washington is just horrible. Like Voit used to be good against righties. Cruz used to be or lefties. Cruz used to be good against lefties. There's really nobody here that really scares me in this lineup. Could they put up some runs? Yes, but I think overall Peterson's going to have a decent outcome here, and could definitely be your SP2 or maybe even your SP1 if you're going more mid-range guys and high-range guys today. Yankees and Rays, you have Herman and Springs. Herman for a stretch was not missing any bats, but he's been better recently. And Tampa Bay is banged up again. Lau is back out. They've lost some of their pitchers. I mean, it's just going to be really hard for them to contend in such a competitive league. Although the Yankees, who look like that they had this division wrapped up at the All-Star break, have slipped, and their lead keeps on diminishing day by day. So, I mean, this could be a very interesting ending. So I wouldn't count Tampa Bay out yet, but I think more likely it's going to be between Toronto and the Yankees and maybe even Baltimore, because they seem to be playing better than the Red Sox and Tampa Bay, which could be a surprise. So this is going to be interesting, but this is awesome. This is baseball, and this is why we like watching it. It's such a long season, so and many things can happen. But anyways, back to the game here. Herman, I think he's okay. If you're looking for a cheap pitcher, I think I'd like him better than Gray. You're saving about $1,000 there. Springs on the other side has been decent recently. I think he'd be the top of the cheap ones, and the Yankees have been a little bit cold, but they're a lot of right-handed bats here. So I think the Yankees could be a very sneaky GPP stack tonight to actually put up some runs. Dino Mayhew, Judge, Stanton, Donaldson, Torres, Trevino, Oswald Perez, who's been decent at shortstop, has dropped back down to 2K, but it's Cabrera, who's a switch hitter who came up and has been decent outfield shortstop eligible. And shortstop is kind of gross at some points. Like, I mean, I like Correa tonight. I like, Seager, like I said, like with Texas, but there's not a ton of shortstops. Like if you look at major stacks, like yes, Sander Bogart's probably gonna be the highest owned one. Lindor from the Mets is okay, but like St. Louis, I hate putting Edmonds there. Atlanta is up against good pitchers, so it's like if you want cheap shortstop, I think Cabrera is definitely in play here. Tampa Bay bats, I'm putting them in like the 150 max. Really not interested in here. I think German is going to be okay, and besides like David Peralta here, there's really nobody in this lineup that I really want to put out there facing him. So Peralta is one off that's the only interest in Tampa Bay. Marlins and Braves, rain in Atlanta. It rains almost every day in Atlanta or Florida, it seems like, this summer. So I'm not super concerned. It's only about 30%. So just a note of mentioning. Just watch it just in case things change, but I think we'll be fine. Two good pitchers here, Alcantara and Mullerton. Alcantara, highest priced pitcher on the slate. Again, I think he's more of a GPP than a cash play because he's a good pitcher, and Rays do have strikeouts. The Braves are a really good offense. So this is something's got to give here, and I don't know which way it's going to go, so I'm not going to play it in cash. Morton on the other side, I think, is probably going to be my top pitcher if you're paying up, because the Marlins aren't really a great offense. They put up runs every so often, but I think, and I don't understand like what's going on here. Like John Birdie is like 5.3 on the Marlins. That is just an egregiously wrong, too high price. But the rest of the Marlins are almost free here. So again, decent leverage stack against Morton if you want some cheap bats. But again, Oakland's probably my favorite one I would take, or I'd like the Detroit KC pieces better than the Marlins. But if you want like a low ownership, cheap stack, and if you're multi-entering like in 150 max, then they definitely play. The Braves, I think, would be the top GPP stack of the night. They should be a leverage stack, but I think that just how good they are, they come out of the leverage category and they go into the GPP category because they will have low ownership, but they have a lot of potential with that lineup. Minnesota and the White Sox, Sonny Gray and Davis Martin. Just keep in mind there's two Grays on the slate. You have the one Josiah from Washington, and you have Sonny here for Minnesota. I don't think I'm really interested in Sonny Gray here. As you can see, he didn't even make the board. I don't know why. I thought I got everybody up there, but maybe I put somebody up there twice. But anyways, if I had to put him someplace, I'd probably put him down in the bottom of the media range there with Detmers and Cobb. I think he's in consideration here for GPPs. But because the White Sox can struggle at times, and the wind is blowing in Chicago about 8 miles per hour, so it's 84 degrees, so it's kind of warm. So we'll see what's going on there. Davis Martin on the other side is definitely a fade for me, or no interest right there. As for bats, I think the Twins definitely are in consideration here. Nick Gordon has been white hot recently. He has been hitting very, very well, and he's so cheap. It's just amazing that I think he's only like 2-2 on DK, which is a phenomenal price for a guy. And it's cool also because he's like dual eligible. He's can be you can use him as an outfielder or second base, which is sometimes to fill in. But his last games, 16 DK points, 20 DK points, and then 6-9. He had a couple bagels there, then a 10, but he's been pretty consistent recently, and this is a good matchup. He's got the splits, so like him there, definitely. White Sox on the other side, I think it's just a stack or fade thing. I mean, they seem to be relatively cheap now with Roberts and if Jimenez is still out of the lineup too. So like Abreu is the most expensive guy here, but Andrew has been leading off at 2-4. Then you have Vaughn. Sheets in the fifth spot at 2-3 is not bad, has a splits, but really don't like I can't don't think I could even find four guys to stack on this team. So maybe some of the one-offs here, maybe go Elvis, Sheets and Groundall, but they're not even really close. I mean, there's Vaughn and Abreu. Like I really don't want to pay up for them in this matchup. So I'm gonna move on from them. 13 game slate, plenty of other options. Cubs and Cardinals, Sampson and Montgomery. Sampson's a no. Montgomery has been solid recently. He had one kind of bad game in between like his success against last time out, but it was Atlanta. And as we said, Atlanta's a good offense, and he's a lefty, and they're primarily a right-handed dominant team. But before that, he just faced the Cubs. He had 42.7 points in Chicago, did well against Colorado, Milwaukee. Ever since he got traded from the Yankees, he's just been very, very good. He actually faces the Yankees like 3 times in 4 starts, which is kind of weird. And so maybe I'm reading that box score wrong. Maybe that's when he was with the Yankees and it just said, but anyways, just looking at his last 3 starts after recently before the one where we had the issue with Atlanta, he's been solid. So I'm okay with him against the Cubs here. Sampson on the other side, like I said, absolutely no. The Cubs, I think, would just be a leverage stack against Montgomery. If you want to play the righties, the wind is blowing out in St. Louis a little bit, and that does help hitting. It's only 3 miles per hour, so it's not too significant. It's only 81, so it's not like it's 90-some degrees. So if you want to stack some of the righties here, and it looks like they're going to throw out almost an all right-handed lineup against him, I'm fine with that. But St. Louis, I think, is be a very quiet stack. Like we were on them a lot last week when they were coolers and had some decent matchups. Whenever that was, who were they playing? Oh, they was against the Cubs that they had good, and then they played Atlanta, and then they played Cincinnati, but they just really didn't. I mean, there's one game they put up 13, but then they kind of cooled off in the next couple ones. So I think they're in this slate, they're gonna kind of get lost, and I think they're my 3rd favorite stack here. They might be a second because just like the weather in New York for the Mets just doesn't really look great. And we'll get to those them coming up here. Actually, did we pass it out? Yeah, we already talked about the Mets against the Nationals. So I just with the Mets recently, it's some like I really like Vogelbach, but he's been quiet lately. He just really hasn't hit as a lefty. And I mean Nemo and stuff. They're a decent stack, but I really think like St. Louis could be just so sneaky here. And Newbar should go to the top of the lineup. He's been hitting down further, like Donovan in there as a lefty. Dickerson plus then throw in like the bigger bats of Goldsmith, Arenado, O'Neill, Carlson. Like they've got a lot of guys to mix and match here. So just whoever's at the top of the lineup that has the splits, you can just throw them in and make a nice lineup, get two decent pitchers in there, throw in a couple value plays. And, I really like that for a cash or GPP build. Houston and the Angels, Lance McCullers and Reed Detmers. McCullers is decent, but the Angels have been getting better recently since Trout has come in. I think you might see Ford in there a little bit higher up in the lineup because I think their first baseman is out for a while with an injury. And he was the Yankees, and he used to come in at like mid-price against a righty, and every so often like hit a home run or so and be a smash play. So I'm not saying he's a smash play on this slate. I'm just saying that there's potential for the Angels to be better than they have been, because we were targeting about a month ago, and now I think we could take that target off of them because they're becoming a better lineup. So McCullers has struggles with walks. We can put guys on base. So, especially if you get some walks at the bottom of this lineup, and then you get like Trout and Ohtani up there and Brian Fulo, who's been decent also, you should be able to, they should be able to put up some runs here. So not interested really in McCullers a ton. I'd rather take Peterson or maybe Pivetta. I think is in a better matchup, even against a hot Texas team. Or Castillo, I think is better than all of them. So I might re-rank them here. Now that I'm kind of thinking about this more, we'll put him here. We'll put Pivetta here, and we'll put McCullers here. Okay, that feels a little bit better. See, we talked this out. Like sometimes we make better decisions. Reed Detmer on the other side, I have him down here also in consideration. I know Houston is a horrible lineup to go against. They've got a lot of righties with power. They don't strike out a lot and they don't walk a lot. But he's been solid in recent starts. So if you want to take a dart on him in a GPP, he's a little expensive at 8.6, but maybe 5% if you're doing 150 max. Get him in like maybe 2 or 3 of your lineups and just see what happens. He might be a little bit surprising if he continues in his current form. So bat wise, Houston, I think you can always consider them in cash, especially like I said, they have a split advantage. And the Angels, I think definitely make a leverage stack if people are going to look at the name of McCullers and being on Houston and think that it's a good matchup and not know like about the walks and how much better the Angels have been if they haven't been paying attention to that. Brewers and Diamondbacks, both these teams have been hitting well recently. Eric Lauer and Zach Davies. Lauer, not very interested in here. I think 9K is too expensive for him, and Arizona's going to throw a lot of righties at him potentially here. And then Zach Davies on the other side, I think it's okay. Yelich is probably going to be out of the lineup, but you still have like Tellis and Wong, and Damas hits both sides well. So, and it's pretty much a pick 'em game here. It should be really close. So Davies, I'm probably going to fade, and Lauer is definitely in the no interest category. Milwaukee Brewers, I think, they're relatively cheap, especially if Yelich is out there. You just take Adames out, and then the highest price guy is probably Renfroe and Tellis at 4.4 and 4.1. Besides Adames, like I said, at 5.3. The rest of the team's only like 3K, so you can fit them in. But again, they're not a priority here. And Arizona, I think they would be my favorite cheap stack. Then I'm not talking like the hyper cheap stacks like Oakland and Detroit and Kansas City and Miami. I'm talking about like teams that don't have too many guys you have to pay up for. So I'd probably just skip Rojas here if I do stack them, but Kelly might lead off at 3.5. Marte is switch here at 4.3, and then Walker at 4.9, and Walker at 4.3, then Rivera at 3.1, decent. Stone Garrett is in there at like 2.3. Like you can make a lot happen with the Arizona stack, and I think they've got some sneaky potential here. So against Lauer, who struggles every so often here, and they have the split advantage, and Arizona just seems to be putting it together every so often, putting up some runs. So kind of like them there. Dodgers and Padres, we've got a decent pitching matchup here. Yu Darvish and Dustin May. Dustin May, I think he's had 2 starts back. I think he faced Miami both times, so a good way to get back into major league rotation. But at 10K, he doesn't go deep enough. I think they're like easing him back in. Probably gonna use him like maybe for like the playoffs or so, depending on the health of their other pitcher. I mean, they lost Walker Buehler for the year, and Kershaw is working his way back. So, but I think they just want to have options, and they might just like kind of pair like maybe like Kershaw and May like in a start, like piggyback a couple of these starters together just to try to be competitive to win another World Series. Dervish on the other side, like he's a good pitcher, but he's up against a good lineup. It's another case of something's got to give, and in this case, not knowing which way it's going to go, I think Darvish, if you could pay up for him, but I think he's GPP only. May, again, I really can't have much interest in him. He could only get like 10 to like 12 DK points with the amount of time he goes, and the Padres have a decent lineup here. So, um, I just really don't want to pay 10K for a guy against like the Padres, and then the Dodgers. Bat wise, I think both of these two are probably the top leverage stack on the slate, because I think people are going to look at the pitching situation and look at the teams and be like, I don't know which way it's going to go. So I would just stack them. I wouldn't take one-offs here at all. So if you're playing in your 20 max, I think you don't even have to go like expand to 150 max. If you're in a 20 max, you can play a Dodger stack, you can pay a Padre stack, and I think you're fine in those GPPs. Final game we have is Philadelphia and San Francisco. Kyle Gibson, he's been good at times, and San Francisco's been down, but I don't think I'm not really interested here. Alex Cobb, I think, is another great value on the slate here at 7-8. He's been solid recently, and I know Philadelphia's been well. I know the wind's blowing out 20 miles per hour. So Philly definitely makes my second favorite GPP stack behind Atlanta. But I also think there's value in a GPP and playing Cobb as a cheap pitcher, just to, if he continues his form here and was able to go and shut these Phillies bats down, I think he can have a really good night. And at 7-8, that's an awesome price. So that's a lot to go over here. So let's just talk about some builds to simplify things and get you on your way to start off your weekend, Labor Day weekend, actually. So I'm, again, with the theme of not paying up for pitchers. I'm not going to take Alcantara or Morton in cash on DK here. I'm going to take Cobb and Peterson. I think that they're solid enough. If Cobb scares you, then if you want to throw Morton in there, I think he's definitely safe for Castillo. That's what the problem is. I got Castillo in there twice. So probably somebody has already put that in the comments by now. So here's what we'll do. We'll put that there, and here is where Sonny Gray should be. Okay. Drink some more coffee. Maybe we'll be more awake on this. Sorry, guys and girls. So what I'm doing is, like I said, definitely gonna stack Boston here. So Story, Devers, Xander, and Pham are the core. Second, third, shortstop, and outfield. So then decide. I wouldn't take Verdugo here, like Kiki Hernandez or Durbin or whoever, or Donovan, or like whoever, like those like rookies that are there that might be right-handed. If for some strange reason like Jeter Downs is leading off, if he's even called up here and Xbox gets the day off, then I mean definitely somebody to consider. He's gonna be a star coming up with Dahlback at first base. Like it all depends on who this Boston lineup is. And like you primarily want to target the righties, and I'm okay with Devers being a lefty because he hits lefties well also. I'm going to go with the A's as my secondary stack. So, and I guess you can play JD Martinez here too. So Langers is at catcher, and then at first base, you have Murphy, you have like Garcia that I said at 2K there. And outfield, I think you can play Kemp. I think Brown can go there also. So you've got a lot of options with A's to fill out the rest of this lineup. For FanDuel cash, this is a little bit different here. Like Alcantara, you can get up to here if you want to. You can play Morton there, or you can play Peterson or Cobb. Like there's many options. Most of my builds I went with Alcantara or Morton. They just all wouldn't fit on the line. But Peterson opens up so you can get like another secondary stack like Seattle with a one-off in there with Boston. So again, Story Devers fam, who I'm taking, probably going to take Xander Bogart as shortstop there, and then I'm going to fill in with Oakland guys if I'm paying up for Alcantara or for Morton. If I'm taking Peterson and I have more money, then I'm probably going to go with Seattle, where I can get France there, or like it's a Santana if you want to pay down. And then in outfield, I'd probably skip the Oakland guys, and I'm probably going to take like J Rod or Hager. Winker's been a little bit sluggish recently, so I don't know if I'd take him, or Raleigh, the catcher. I don't mind that in the utility spot. Either, or for the first base, like he's been decent recently and all this year too. So GPPs, Morton Montgomery, I think that's a very solid pairing there of pitchers. And then St. Louis, like so Goldsmith or Pujols, if you're either one there, Gorman if he's in the lineup, Carrera, Nootbaar, Gordon. If Gorman's not in the lineup, then I might move Gordon up there, and then there's more outfield spots, and that really solidifies the second base option. So again, we'll just have to see who comes out in the St. Louis lineup. If Carlson's in there, he's a great outfield one. If Donovan's in there, he'd fill in for third base. I like playing him over Arenado because of the savings. So just mix and match. But St. Louis is the priority for me. Again, I think they're going to be sneaky. I think they're going to do very well. And then finally, GPP for FanDuel. Morton's my pitcher. Same thing. I'm looking at a St. Louis stack with Minnesota pieces mixed in. And I think that's what we have. So hope everybody has a safe Labor Day weekend. I think McKinley has a video tomorrow. We'll figure out who's doing Sunday. And then, we'll definitely have a video for Monday. Being a holiday, they might have like us 2 slates. They might have an early or late. I haven't looked at it yet. So we'll see what's going on there, but we'll make sure we have that covered. We got so many things coming up. We got college football. We got EPL on the channel. We have what else we got going on? We have NASCAR coming up. Probably won't have an Xfinity video just because there's so little time between when we find out what the lineups are going to be and the start of the actual race is only like a 2-3 hour period. And then we have, but we'll definitely have the Cup one for the Southern 500, which is one of our favorite races of the year at Darlington. So thanks for watching. I'm MegaRuler31. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And like I said, your comments have been phenomenal recently, really helped us like think about these things. And, we're going to get to a point in time where we're still focusing on baseball, and a lot of other people moving on to NFL and college football and other things, and an opportunity to make money. And especially the best day to play baseball, and I'll remind you, all of this coming up is the Monday after the NFL season starts, because if the new people get in there and they win a little bit in the NFL and they get a taste for it and they want to compete, they're going to try their hand at baseball, and they're not going to be as prepared unless hopefully they watch our video here. Maybe that helps them out. So that's a good opportunity to usually make money. I've had some really successful days the Monday after NFL kicked off, with people getting new to like DFS and putting money in and then winning some, and then trying it in baseball and not doing as well. So thanks again. Again, hit me up at Twitter at MegaRuler31. Like our video. That just subscribe to our channel so we know when all these videos are coming out, and share with your friends. If we're helping you, then like let us help other people too. So community's just grown awesome, for almost getting closer and closer to having 4,000 subscribers. So hopefully we can do that by the end of the year, and that'd just be an awesome celebration to have. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. I'm MegaRuler31. You know how to get a hold of me, and good luck in your contest today, and we'll see you next time.